Test one, two. Test one, two. Trustees, please use the raise your hand Zoom option to be placed in queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute your mics until you are ready to speak, and we may now proceed with the agenda.
Well, we're on item 2. Do you want to explain that, Terry, or somebody can? I don't want to do it.
That's okay. Under AB 2449, we have no requests.
All right. Item 3A, approval of the minutes of October 5th. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections, any changes? Seeing none, hearing none. Record your vote.
Okay, Mr. Robbins, how would you like to record your vote?
How do you send this thing? Oh,
Are we going to do it verbally?
No, we're going to do on the system. One-handed. Would you like to read?
Nothing's popping up.
Okay,
so-
would you like to, is yours a yes? Mr. Harris and Mr. Robbins, yes?
Yes, I'm a yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Very controversial.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Item 4, public comment. Now's the time for the public. Anyone wishing to address the committee from the public to do so. I don't have any requests. We don't have any requests. Item 5A, federal engagement. Very briefly, Mr. Liu, it's time again, so give us the skinny.
Yes, good morning, Chair Robbins and trustees. So this is a recommendation for the board to approve a visit to Congress during the week of the upcoming NCPERS conference, as we've done in the past. Generally, with the NCPERS conference, we visited with members of Congress. So this year, they will, during the second day of the conference, there will be many group meetings that NCPERS will be organizing. In the past, we've also had a day, the following day, where we also make visits as well. But I think this time, our federal lobbyist, Mr. Rhoda, advises that due to he anticipated a large number of group meetings on the first day, that we may not be able to meet on the second day, but he will be leading some of those meetings during the first day. So that's the summary of this recommendation.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions?
How many do they usually visit with, Barry?
How many?
Yeah.
I think in the past it's been like maybe 5 or 6.
Oh, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
We go back to Washington, D.C. and spend time with the most dysfunctional group of Americans in the history of Congress, you know? I mean, hey.
Not
Well-
January 22nd. Let me go in
Yeah.
April.
Ah.
It's colder than hell back there.
All right, we're on item B, House Resolution 4260. Oh, do what?
We have to vote on
We need
that?
a motion on
I'll
this?
move.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
move.
I'll second it.
Well, now you want us to.
Although, you want to call the roll or?
This time around.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Oakham,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Chair Robbins.
I'm an aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right, the trip is a go.
It's cold.
Item B, House Resolution 4260. Mr. Liu?
Yes, thank you. So HR 4260 pertains to the windfall elimination provision. And what it would do, instead of repealing it, what it would do is propose a new proportional formula that would prorate the Social Security benefit based on how much non-covered service you have versus covered service. What it would do is apply this starting in 2025 if this would be enacted. And the other thing about this is that there's a protection provision built into this, in that if you're subject to the WEP formula, it'll give you the higher either the WEP formula or this formula, which means that, for example, under the regular WEP formula, if you don't receive a pension or you have at least 30 years of substantial service, there will be no reduction. So you get the best of both worlds, so to speak, here. And then for existing recipients, there will be a $150 monthly payment that, hopefully would offset whatever WEP adjustment they're already experiencing. And so this is a reintroduction of a bill from formerly the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, Richard Neal, which we supported in the past. And so we also recommend support for this bill.
I move it.
I'll second.
Any further questions?
Yes, I do. So this bill competes with the other two bills, is that? Because we have the two bills that we discuss later, right?
Yeah, so it's there are definitely two different approaches. The other bills that you're referring to basically repeal the windfall elimination and the government pension offset, whereas this one deals only with the windfall elimination provision. It's you could look at it as competing with the other bills at the same time, and also is a different approach that does provide some relief as well.
And it has the economic impact to the budget is substantially less than the other two, right? The
yes,
elimination, because that was one of the arguments that I have heard in the past, that by eliminating that provision, the impact is substantial, the billions of dollars, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I don't have numbers off the top of my head, but it would be more in terms of a repeal than, say, a modification.
So this bill, the likelihood of getting this bill through is probably higher than the other two.
Theoretically, but
Yeah.
again, it remains to be seen.
Exactly. Hear that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item C, House Resolution 53.
Need to vote, need to vote. Need to vote.
Thought we already voted.
No.
Okay.
Not on this one.
If Terry says no.
We
the
just made
answer's no.
the motion on the second.
Right, right.
All right.
Did you send the vote?
Nope. Oh, okay, now it came up. Okay. Things are working now. Good, good, good.
And I'm an aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Surprise, surprise.
A little controversial.
Now we're on item C, House Resolution 5342. Mr. Liu.
Yes, thank you. So HR 5342 is a reintroduction of a bill that was formerly introduced by Representative Kevin Brady, and which we also supported in the past. So the difference between this bill and the prior bill is that the protection provision that I mentioned only lasts until, I believe it's 2067. And then at that point going forward, it would just be the proportional formula. So in that case, some people who wouldn't otherwise be affected by reduction would experience, a small reduction in their benefit. And then the other difference is for those existing beneficiaries, instead of $150, there's $100 per month that they would receive. Although if they have an eligible dependent, which would be a spouse, there would be an additional $50. So in some cases, it would also be $150. And so, so that would be the key differences between this bill and the prior bill. And we also recommend a support position on this.
Need a motion?
I'll move. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Please record your vote. I'm an aye vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're on item 6, reports, engagement report for October of 23. Mr. Liu.
Thank you. So this month's items kind of relate a lot to retirement security. So the first item is based on a study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute and the National Association of Government DC Administrators. And they found that for many public workers with DC plans, they tend to have low balances. And then women tend to lag behind their male counterparts in terms of savings. So for example, some of the balances for participants in their 60s are lower than 40,000. And then the median balance for participants in their 40s is about 18,000. When you look at, say, the contribution rate for participants in their 20s is about 2.7%, but it increases to 9.5% for those in their 60s. And then loan usage is interesting in that, it tends to start in the 20s, and then it peaks at around 9.6% in their 40s. And then people in their 60s, it decreases to 5.2%. And then as far as some of the reasons why, say, women lag behind men in terms of saving, is that men tend to contribute more than women in terms of dollars and percentage of salary. The median dollar contribution for women in their 30s is about $1,600, whereas with men is $2,300. And then in terms of contribution rate from, their 20s, 30s to 50s, you can see that their contribution percentages tend to increase. And then finally, men tend to take more risk in terms of investing in equities compared to women. So men in their 40s allocate about 51% to equities, whereas women allocate about 37%. The next item is a report from the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, which found that older participants tend to carry more debt into retirement. So they found that the Americans age 65, the percentage that carry debt grew from 38% in 1989 to 63% in 2019. So one of the discussion points was that not all debt is bad. So for example, low interest mortgage debt, where you own a house, may not be as bad as say carrying high credit card balances. And the report also distinguishes or categorizes low risk and high risk borrowers into 4 categories. So one is that those who are financially constrained, have no levels of wealth and struggle to pay for basics. Then you have credit card borrowers who have no apparent need to borrow, but they still, again, use credit cards. And then there are those with too much house where their housing debt is more than 40% of their income. And then finally, there are wealthy spenders who, although they're in the top of the distribution of wealth, they also tend to spend more and carry more debt, as well as maybe have a second home. So the research kind of recognizes that some of the solutions are not one size fits all. So credit card borrowers may need more financial counseling, whereas those with housing debts, may need to refinance or downsize. And then also getting back to Social Security. So the Social Security COLA that's been announced for 2024 is 3.2%, which is an increase about an average of $59 for an average benefit of $1,900. The 3.2% for the coming year is in contrast to last year's 8.7% in 2023 and 5.9% in 2022, which reflects the high inflation that we've been experiencing. The other interesting thing about Social Security is that there's also an earnings limit for workers. So if you're getting Social Security, you're also kind of constrained from working as well, because if, for example, you make more than $22,000 a year, what happens is a Social Security will deduct $1 worth of benefits for every $3 that you earn over that earnings limit. And then finally, the Social Security COLA announcement has also prompted calls from advocacy organizations about maybe using a different CPI measurement for determining the COLA. Currently, it's using the urban wage earners and clerical workers CPI, which may not reflect retired households who tend to spend more on housing and medical costs. And then this advocacy group, Distinguished Citizens League, believes that a senior-oriented CPI would result in a 4% COLA as opposed to 3.2%. So again, that and they also indicate that Social Security benefits have lost about 36% purchasing power since 2000. So that concludes my report. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, just a comment on your report, but normally I get my Social Security statement like any day now. So it always tells me how much my Social Security check is going to be. And then it tells me how much my Part B premium is going to go up. And for the last 3 or 4 years, that Part B premium increase has wiped out the Social Security increase. So what little check I get from Social Security that's already reduced by 2/3 roughly is going to be gone within the next several years. But I think even more disturbing than that is the articles that I've been reading this last week about the Medicare reimbursements for doctors. Because it's been about 20 years now, as I recall, since the last time that doctors started bailing out of Medicare because they weren't getting paid enough to make it worthwhile to accept Medicare patients. It looks like we're just about getting back. We're going to be back in that little cycle here pretty quick, because I'm reading a lot of really bad stuff. Maybe you want to talk about that in your report, but I have friends that are doctors and they're like going, we ain't making any money now, and taking Medicare patients is going to be a loser from the get-go. So I don't know. Anybody else have any questions?
Just to add to what you just said, I mean, not only doctors, but physical therapists and others.
Yep.
The reimbursement
Any of the providers.
Yeah, exactly. So
Not good.
powerful.
I think physical therapists get paid pretty well. Dermatologists get paid pretty well. The thing I'm looking at, if you do a knee, that guy's getting $1,600. Now he's seeing you a couple, 3, 4 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And that could be a problem where your good orthopods say, hey, I'm not taking Medicare anymore.
well, that's the issue, that they don't want
Again,
to
they
take
might not have
Medicare.
enough business because, Medicare age, they're getting knees. Not a lot of knees before 50.
Item B,
Yes, good morning,
Sandra.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We received another approximately 12.7 million for the 21-22 retiree drug subsidy program participation. That's an increase of about 300,000 from what we got last year. And for 2024, CMS also announced the Part B amount. The Part B amount is going to go up to 174.70, which is currently 164.90, so a difference of $9.80 a month. So of that $59 that they're getting on average, $9.80, almost $10 of that is going to your Part B. We've contacted the county CEO's office and are working with them to get that on the Board of Supervisors agenda for final approval. They provided us the date of December 19th as the date that it would be on the agenda. I've inquired as to whether we can get that moved up because December 20th is our payroll deadline. And so in order for us to try to get as many of those updated as possible, I'd like to see if they could get that on the agenda sooner rather than later. Seagulls provided their annual analysis report. We've also submitted that over to the county, so we're just waiting back to hear once their consultant goes through their analysis and we can proceed with the Board of Supervisors. And with that, that's it.
thank you.
One other thing, I did include on there a chart of the Part B amounts for the various income-related
That's the scary
amount.
part.
Thank you.
That's the scary part. Because the people making under $90,000 a year, that's one category, but a whole lot of county employees make a whole lot more than that. And those Part B premiums are going up to $600 a month or more. So
Those are the ones that we're seeing that
big
are
hit.
not taking it.
You might be lucky you don't have to go, you're not in Medicare, because that's 600 right off the top, pal, for you, so.
I know I'm lucky. Thank you very much.
But did they also increase the amount? Because for joint reporters, it goes up to 206. For $174, no?
Yeah, if you look at the second page of my staff activity report, the chart is there. And it shows you by income, how much more the individual will pay. So it goes from $174.70 to $244.60 for those individuals that are making 103 to 122 or 129,000, and then it proceeds up from there.
Yeah, I mean, anyone in that system that gets $206,000 per year, that means that individual is making a lot of money in the county.
And they're going to be paying $559 a month for Part B.
No, I was looking at the first line, 174.70, no?
Yeah, that's for those that are making less
Then
than or equal to
206.
103.
Well, for a joint filer,
Oh, yeah, for joint,
206.
yes.
Yeah, so not bad.
Cassandra, if I could just chime in
Up,
too. I
up,
think
and away.
historically we've said that the trustee report indicates about 7 to 8% of Medicare beneficiaries are subject to IRMA. And again, that could be anywhere across that spectrum. I saw a report this morning that showed that increasing to 15%, and I'm not quite sure where that math came from because that's a significant jump. But again, it's going to impact more and more people, just as you pointed out this morning.
Who develops that report? Is that in-house or is that our actuaries? Or
No, the Medicare Trust Fund.
Oh, got it. Okay, so that's the overall Medicare. Is there a possibility to see where we are within our system?
The hardest part is tracking kind of the income levels. And again, this is from 2 years ago. So again, whether or not we would have kind of reasonable access to that data is difficult. And you may be a source of income, but you may not be the sole source. So it becomes a little bit more complicated.
Thank you very much. We're on item C, claims experience. Michael.
Good morning. The first page contains the premium and enrollment by medical plan and dental plans. I'd like to note that the Anthem plans, which consist of plans 1, 2, 3, and Prudent Buyer, consists of approximately 45.5% of total medical premiums and 37% of membership. And for Kaiser plans, which consists of the non-Medicare and Medicare plans for California and out-of-state plans, consists of approximately 35% of total medical monthly premiums and 48% of total monthly membership. Next slide, please. This slide contains the claims experience by carrier and the year-over-year trends for non-Medicare plans, comparing the most recent 12 months, which is for September 22 through August of 23, to the same 12 months period in the prior to the same 12 months in the prior period. For Anthem's non-Medicare year-over-year trend decreased from 7.7% to 4.4% compared to the prior report. Cigna's non-Medicare year-over-year trend decreased by 5.1% compared to the prior report. And Kaiser's experience remains unchanged from the prior report, given the most recent data is through July of 2023. Next slide, please. This slide contains the Anthem claims experience on an aggregate basis and by plan. On an aggregate basis, the Anthem year-over-year trend decreased from 7.8% to 6.3% when compared to the prior report. For a Prudent Buyer, on a per retiree per month basis, the year-over-year trend increased by 23.6%, or approximately $240 per retiree per month. The increase is mainly due to increase in claims, which increased by 19%, and a decrease in membership, which decreased by 3.7%. Next slide, please. This contains the Kaiser utilization, and it remains unchanged from the prior report. Next slide, please. This slide contains the high cost claimants by carrier. For Anthem's non-Medicare plan, year-over-year trend, it decreased from 127.8% to 45.8% when compared to the prior report. For Cigna's non-Medicare plan, the year-over-year trend decreased by 9.7% compared to the prior report. The year-over-year trend for this current period decreased by 34.4% for claims over the polling point. And the Kaiser experience remains unchanged from the prior report. Next slide, please. This slide contains the premium drug rebates, which remains unchanged from the prior report. Next slide, please. This slide contains the dental and vision claims experience. The dental claims year-over-year trend decreased by 3.5% to 2.3% compared to the prior report, and the vision claims year-over-year trend decreased from 5.5% to 6.4% compared to the prior report. Thank you.
So just a brief commentary on some of the experience reports. Again, I think some of the fluctuations month to month as we look at this are due to large claim activity. Best example is probably the Kaiser experience, where we saw a reduction from about 3 million in excess claims to about 1.5 million. So again, just in that time period, you'll see that fluctuation. And as we've talked about before, the Cigna population is probably some of your most mature members. And so we'll see real fluctuations in their experience kind of year to year. So that's unexpected. We are kind of rolling up our sleeves and getting the renewal process. We're expecting renewals from LACERA's vendor partners first week of December. So we'll kind of begin working that process, but that's well underway, and we'll work with staff through the month of December and early through January to kind of negotiate those and kind of work that through. As we've talked about before, one of the concerns we have looking ahead to the next renewal cycle is Kaiser. Kaiser's increases across the board have been significant double-digit increases, and the fact that they represent almost 50% of your total membership would be indicative. The other factor too is historically, at least in the last three to 4 years, we've seen declines in the Medicare Advantage plan, Senior Advantage plan. So year-over-year decreases, and now we're seeing actual double-digit increases. So that will have an influence on the overall budget. So we have our work cut out for us, but work's begun, and we'll keep you informed.
What can we do with Kaiser? I mean, they got double digit, and You got a reduction of 3 to $1.5 million, 3 million to $1.5 million. Why are we getting those kind of raises?
As they'll tell you, they're basically working on an overall budget basis. That would be for the entire region. So I oversimplify it and say for Southern California.
Do they do it for the whole, they don't do it individually?
No, they do not. So they will provide some adjustments to each individual's group's experience based on a warranted basis. So large claim activities may position you to have better than average kind of increase or trend increase versus the book of business, and they will make adjustments. But that range has been narrowed as well. So they've kind of reduced the floor to, if your experience is far better than their book of business, they'll give a rate pass. Historically, they've taken it down as much as 5% year over year. So they are changing how they've done this, and we're going to have to take a look at this.
What are we looking at this next year?
Right now, I anticipate at least a low double-digit increase from Kaiser.
And that's 50% of our.
Correct.
I got a question, Cassandra. You got a subsidy of 11 million from Anthem, but Kaiser was 358. And Kaiser represents, I mean, we're spending 20 million with Kaiser and 24 million with Anthem. Why was that such a low amount we got back from Kaiser? I think $360,000 roughly, and we got back 11 million and change from Anthem. What's that reason?
Some of those people in Kaiser, we cannot claim the retiree drug subsidy for, whereas Anthem Blue Cross, we can claim the entire population that has Medicare. Because it's assigned to Medicare Advantage plan, it's a little different than the PPO plan, the indemnity plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Want to go to D?
Do I? Yes. It's been a 3-week hiatus, and now they're back, so we'll see what happens. I have no new updates right now on Fed legislation, but we'll see what comes out of it in the next couple weeks.
Okay. Staff activities. Items for staff review.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Good of the order. Anybody have anything for good of the order? I have one item I want to share with everybody. And then I could do it at the Board of Retirement meeting, but I think I'd rather do it now. I got an email last night about 10 o'clock from a retired deputy sheriff that I used to work with at East LA Sheriff Station, whose son is a young deputy working at Men's Central Jail. Apparently, the rumor going through the young deputy sheriffs that's being perpetrated by the legacy deputies that work there that are not PEPRA employees is that PEPRA caps their salary and their pension. So they're being told by the older guys, get out now and go to a PERS agency or somebody else who's not impacted by PEPRA. So I think this is the tip of the iceberg to show just how much misinformation and lack of knowledge and understanding there is throughout the sheriff's department about PEPRA and how it affects them. I crawled out of bed, went down to my computer and wrote this guy an email and kind of set the record straight, but I said, just tell him there really isn't anywhere for them to go except LAPD, because everybody else is covered pretty much by PEPRA, like 98%. So, but they're convinced that if they lateral now and get out of the sheriff's department, they can somehow beat the salary limits on PEPRA. So I had to basically say it doesn't affect your salary, it affects your pension. And yeah, there's a cap on it. And yeah, there's an escalator, but don't expect that to go up much. And there's nowhere to go hide because all those PERS agencies, they're all covered by PEPRA too. So interesting. Items for future agendas?
Nothing.
Anybody have anything they want to share?
I do have. So just to piggyback on what you're saying, we've been thinking about how we can better communicate with our deputy sheriffs, not only for the issue that you're talking about in terms of PEPRA, but also the power of attorney the importance of that. And so Louis and I are going to reach out to ALAS and POPA to see if we can get onto their newsletter and maybe write some sort of an article specifically for those two particular items, because I think that based on some of the past experiences that we've had with some deputy sheriffs that have been hurt pretty seriously, it's an important. The POA is a really, really important element to educate people on, and then we'll go ahead and see if we can piggyback and try to set the record straight in terms of the impact that PEPRA has on the pension and not the salaries. And so I'll reach out to Wayne and reach out to Derek to see if we can do that. And then we'll also include it in our newsletter as well. We're planning on doing a special email blast on the POAs to all of our members that are signed up for LACERA. So I just wanted to piggyback on that, because we agree that it's important that we provide proper education to our members.
Also, reciprocity and portability of PEPRA, because a lot of them don't understand that when they go to another agency, they're just keeping PEPRA. The law standardizes it across the
Oh,
board.
I see. Yeah. Okay, we'll make that point as well.
Yep.
Okay.
How much change did they make with the new deputies coming in on retirement?
How much change?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you got $4, now you're getting $3, or what is the difference?
There's pretty significant changes between Plan B and the new members because of what's considered pensionable income. In addition to the formula, they have to do a few more years for the formula.
So 50%?
57 usually. So.
Is that making it tough to hire people?
No, because it's across the board. It is making it tough to compete with LAPD, though. The only thing going for us is that people don't want to work in LA.
But it does have an impact beyond safety. A lot of the lawyers, a lot of the doctors, when they become aware of the ceiling, they get pretty discouraged and angry, and they want to walk away. It's you got a hospital administrator makes $700,000 per year, but they will not be able to collect to, I think it's 174 right now.
Yeah.
So it's substantial.
They got plenty of other ways. That's true.
In a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
so moved.
9:15 for the board meeting.
Recording stopped.
This was Frank Kichocho and his son working to see.